Hello everyone. So welcome to this webinar. In this webinar, I am planning to show you or demonstrate to you how to use Python 3, the pandas and matplotlib libraries, and to do a basic data analysis. So this webinar is for absolute beginners. This is not a course for advanced folks. So anybody who's trying to learn Python from scratch, you can actually follow this tutorial series. So in my first lesson, I am going to quickly cover how to install Anaconda distribution. When you install Anaconda distribution, it contains the Python 3 and all the necessary libraries such as pandas and also data visualization tools, libraries like matplotlib and also Seaborn. And if you're going to do machine learning libraries like scikit-learn. So all these are already been included in the Anaconda distribution. So once you install that, how are we going to load a basic data set to it, and also how are we going to use basic coding in order to do initial data analysis, I will cover. And in later stage, I'm planning to cover some of the advanced data analysis the techniques, which even includes a little bit of machine learning and predictive analytics as well. So I hope you will enjoy this series. So let's get started soon.
Now, before we start, we need to know the vocabulary. So everybody knows what is a table, data table. And in Python, we call a table a data frame. A data frame is called a table. And in a data frame or a table, you have columns, you have rows, and this is called the index. And the data table is consist of data series. Usually we call them columns, but in data science we call it a series. And in a column, which we now call a series, it has a header. This is called the header, and that is being called as an attribute in data science also. All right, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'll go to Google and download the Anaconda distribution. I'll go to the Anaconda website, and I will download Python 3.6 version, and it will download to my downloads folder. Then I'll double click on the package, and the usual way I'll use the wizard and install the Anaconda. Okay, that's done. Okay, next what we're going to do is, now I have created a data set, a dummy data set called SAM HR data set. It's a dummy data set. So let me open that and show it to you. It's a CSV file, and there are about 1,500 records, and I'm going to use that as my data set. So I'm going to copy my data set first, the CSV file. Then I will go to the root directory where Anaconda is installed. That's called Acer in my computer. And I will paste the data set into the root folder. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I will now open my Anaconda navigator. I'll go to start menu, open Anaconda navigator. So you will find there are a lot of tools included in the Anaconda distribution, as I mentioned you earlier. But this instance, we only need to create a Jupyter notebook. So it's here actually, the Jupyter notebook. I'll say launch. It will take a little time to initiate. Okay, now you can see all the files in my root directory is shown here, and I'm going to create a new Python 3 notebook. Okay, so my notebook is now open. The first thing that I should do is I should go and rename my Jupyter notebook. SAM data analysis webinar, and I'll rename the Jupyter notebook. As you can see, now the name has changed. Okay, the next thing that I should do is I should now import the pandas library into the Jupyter notebook. So the coding for that is import pandas as PD. It's a standard code. Next, I'm going to copy the path of my data set. As you know, it's in the Acer directory, so I'm going to copy the address. Then I will go back and give the address to import the CSV file. The code says create a data frame called df from my CSV file in that path. Next, I will rename the df data frame as dfsam. So the code for that is df_sam equals the original df data frame dot copy. And when I run, data frame will be renamed as dfsam. To confirm whether our data has been imported, I'll say df_sam, my data frame, dot head, that is the code, and it should give me the data fields when I run it. Yes, as you can see, now my data set has been successfully imported to the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so let's do some very basic data queries. First, let's find out what are the names of the columns, all the columns in my data set. So the code for that is list in my data frame called the dfsam, all the columns values. I run, you can see all the headers of the columns appearing in my data set. So next, let's take one column and find out the frequency of data in one single column. So I'll say dfsam, that's my data frame, and I am going to check the data available in my primary CEG. So there is a column called primary CEG. I just copy pasted that, primary CEG, and I'll ask, please give me the value counts underscore counts, how many times it's occurring, and then two brackets, it's for our argument. Then you can see when I run it, my data set has in the primary CEG column or the data series, this is the data which is available. So that means I have Java resources 611, .NET 319, Pega 205, SNET 131. So like that, you should be able to analyze the data in one column, within a column, right? Okay, now let us do a basic data visualization. For me to do that, I need to import another library called matplotlib. So let me import matplotlib dot pyplot. Now somebody might ask, what is that? That's the name of the the library as PLT. So that's a standard code to import the matplotlib library into the Jupyter Notebook. And now I will run it. So that means I have now imported that library. Next, let's come up with a bar chart. So I'm going to write data frame SAM. I want the column primary CEG. So let me copy it from the previous line. And I want all the values. So dot value counts. As usual, like the previous line, we're going to have value counts. And we want a plot dot plot. And within the arguments, we will give the kind. We need a bar chart. Kind equals within commas bar. Now let me run this. Oh, there's some error. I think there's a syntax error. Yes, I have forgot to put the two brackets there. Let me put the two brackets there and let me run it again. Yes, as you can see, you should be able to see the frequency graph or the bar graph. Similarly, if you want to get a pie chart, we just have to copy the same line of code. Let me copy and paste it here. And we have to change the kind to pie chart. And let me run it. You can see I get a pie chart. Of course, the legends are overlapping. So let's later on learn how to fix that. Okay, so let's go into some different columns. So let me check. Now there is a column called track. So let me get that data. Data frame SAM. The column or the series is track. And I want the value counts. Okay, when I run it, you can see I have technology track, quality track, consulting track. Then I'm going to again, there is a column named gender. Okay, let me copy from the previous line because it's the same syntax. So I'm going to change the track column into gender. You can see I have male, female counts are given. Now, if I want to know the male female distribution within a track, how can I basically ask that, right? So for that, we are going to import another library. It's called import Seaborn. It's called Seaborn. Again, a data visualization library, Seaborn as SNS. That's a standard coding. Then next, I'm going to say G for graph equals SNS dot I want a count plot. Now these are all standard ones in the Seaborn. You can go and check in the Google. And I'm going to now say plt dot show, that is the coding to show me a graph. Now I have still not given the arguments here, the parameters. So I'm going to give the parameter. I want to define either x or y. So let me, since it's a frequency graph, I will basically define the x axis, right? So okay, so the x axis is going to be track, the name of the track. Within inverted commas we put the column name, track. And now the next one is called the hue. Now all of you all know the word hue means color, right? So here what we are going to tell is show us in two colors, hue, our gender. So please show us in two different colors the two genders. That's why we say hue equals the gender. And then we are going to say the data is being taken from my data frame, that is data frame underscore Sam. Okay, now let's run this. I think there's a syntax error. Yes, I think I have used capital X. It has to be simple X. So let me run again. Yeah. You will find in the frequency graph now the technology track in two different colors. It will show you the male and the female distribution, male in blue and female in orange or yellow color, right? So let us change the hue now to a different one. We'll take attrition column. That means how many people resign and how many people are staying. I'll run it. Now you can see with a click, you can see in the technology track how many people have been retained and how many people have been resigned. Okay, so these ways you should be able to analyze data.
Okay, everyone. So we didn't do much data analysis, but our main objective of this session or this lesson is for you to set up the environment right. So we wanted to first download the Anaconda distribution, then we wanted to install it, then we learn how to basically import a data set into the Anaconda, the distribution Jupyter notebook. And in the Jupyter notebook, we learn how to basically import various libraries. You saw already we imported pandas library. You also saw matplotlib library. Also you saw the Seaborn library is being imported into the Jupyter notebook, and using them we learn very simple basic data analysis using very few codings. Now in my next sessions I am planning to go little deeper. I will actually planning to discuss more on statistics, how to do statistical analysis using these tools, and later on I will basically cover how we can use these tools in order for us to do modeling such as machine learning and prediction. For that we may have to use some other libraries like scikit-learn and NumPy as well. So for now, I hope you enjoy this lesson and this session, and we'll meet with the next lesson. Thank you so much.